And now, another edition of Tony Tolato on Sci-Fi Talk.
Kind of like Samwise Gamgee from Lord of the Rings, the character I played. Remember him? But I remember an oldie but a goodie, folks.
Julian Sands is a creepy man.
Who was your master, Padawan? Someone I killed, perhaps?
Wow. Hey, that's great.
Appreciate it, I do. Yeah.
My guy, the Archangel Gabriel, is in... Wow, that was early.
What is most important is that Burnham forgives herself. Because as Burnham, I carry a tremendous amount of guilt and shame.
Well, my name is Alex Sahara. I played a raven god Zales to Iron Shirt, the one-eyed Unas freaky leader. So Coca-Unash. Oman Coca-Unash.
Over there, sci-fi talk. Typical sci-fi talk behavior.
Special effects, and what's it like for you both to kind of act to things that aren't there?
Well, sometimes you have that experience anyway with people that are there.
Thanks, God. I'm not that bad.
In part because of the hopeful nature of Jean's vision, but also because of its message of diversity and inclusion.
Live long and prosper.
Hi, today I have Devon C. Ford here on Sci-Fi Talk, prolific author, I should say. Welcome, Devon. It's great to talk to you and you are in England, as I understand, or the United Kingdom.
Yeah, we're smack in the middle of England. Hi, Tony.
Before we get into your works, how are you doing there, and how is it there right now?
Honestly, it's a bit surreal from someone who's been, by choice, self-isolated for 4 years. Now that I can't go out anywhere, I'm kind of desperate to go out every day. But we've got two young babies. We try and put them in the double buggy and take a walk out every day. But let's just say my garden's looking pretty good.
No, I totally hear you. I'm actually in New York City, and it's been very surreal here. At times, it's eerily quiet, surprisingly, and I'm actually near a hospital zone, and you know that there's some bad things going on in the waiting rooms and in the beds and everything, but surprisingly, you're kind of sheltered from that because it's not a good idea to go in there and see what's going on. So it's been very, very surreal. Kind of change the subject nicely so that we kind of distract from what's going on. So recently, after it happened, book 9 just came out. And for those who don't know about your series, describe what it's about. It's
post-apocalyptic science fiction, which feels oddly like a premonition at the moment, and not in a good way. Yeah. It's based initially in the UK. It follows the immediate aftermath of a viral pandemic with a very high fatality rate. And while I use the empty world scenario as the backdrop, it follows a reluctant main character, reluctant hero, and the people he finds, and it's more of a story about how they evolve to survive the new reality.
Do you settle on one person or one family or a group of people?
It's all centered around the main character, but the main character being very flawed is kind of a trifecta of two characters and the guy's dog. Obviously, the dog's going to be probably the most likable character for most people. Yeah, but it follows this one group and how that group grows, moves, how they adapt and evolve, and obviously the negatives that they have to encounter. The most dangerous animal on the planet, obviously, other people, and it's about overcoming everything that's thrown at them in their own unique style.
What is it about this type, the apocalypse or a pandemic, since we're kind of living through one right now, but what is it that interests you as a writer?
Honestly, my usual answer for this feels a bit callous now, but in some sense, people like the idea of the post-apocalyptic because it's a chance to reimagine yourself and be more of who you want to be and fallen into that down the rabbit hole of the fiction. People like to imagine themselves of what role they'd play, what skills they'd bring. So it's more of almost a rebirth with the post-apocalyptic.
Definitely kind of going through that now in real life. We're at the end of this. Life won't be the same after it's all over. We're going to be living in a new reality, really.
No, absolutely. I mean, so many things are going to change. I mean, I'm lucky. I'm a former police officer. I left the police 4 years ago, and I can't begin to imagine the stress I'd be under. Still having to go out and deal with what's happening and what's going to happen, because we haven't seen the peak of it here by a long shot. So yeah, it is going to change in so many small ways to be life changing. We'll be talking about this forever. You know, even things like the fact that out the other side of this, there are going to be companies that have been around and trading my whole life aren't going to be there anymore. So many people who go to work their companies are going to realise that, hey, you know, we don't need a big office. We only need 10 people in there. The 50 other people can work from home and be remote. And I think it's going to have some very far-reaching consequences for just daily life.
What is it about science fiction that you want to kind of play in this sandbox?
It's the rules. With science fiction, I mean, I've written across different subgenres in science fiction over 25 books in different worlds. I've written some hard science fiction based on this happens now, the real world is tomorrow, and stuff set thousands of years in the future in a completely made up universe. Well, what I like about science fiction is that you're not limited to what you have to write about. You're not limited by the rules necessarily, and if something doesn't exist for you to craft your story, you can create it. And I've spent days creating, what I call a series Bible, where you have your whole rules, your whole history, the entire backstory of where you're writing, even down to the finite points of individual pieces of technology that you can just go and create, limited only by your imagination.
Well, recently your expansion, your books 1 through 5 are available on Kindle. That was in February. What's that like? I've asked this for many authors to be able to literally have in a Kindle all 5 books rather than carrying around all 5 books.
People love a box set, and I'm not talking about just the value for money side of it. Having to wait for the next book in a series can be frustrating. People can get distracted, go to something else. I like the idea of putting out a box set of a series so that people can just literally smash the whole lot in one go. And if anything, it leaves them with a bigger hunger for more when they finish a back-to-back read like that. And hopefully that brings them looking for the rest of our back catalogue.
So kind of tell us a little bit about expansion so people can pique their interest.
Expansion is set, again, it's 1,000 years in the future. It involves the expansion of the human race into the rest of the galaxy and actually beyond it. There's some geopolitics in it, that the world is split into territories under almost a unified world government. We have a base on the moon, but the story changes with the development of fast and light technology. And I know someone reading this is going to groan at some point because everyone's got their own version of it. And I tend not to get too hung up on the mechanics of it. When you're writing something like that, it's got to sound acceptable. It doesn't have to pass, the Einstein test or anything. So we've got this fast and light technology. We've got prototype vessels built, and there's a lot of espionage going on between the territories. We follow the basis of this one crew out of the galaxy, looking for a second Earth. It's a colonization expansion idea, but we come across alien races and basically stumble into the middle of an alien war and inadvertently take sides straight away.
And you recently had Occupation come out. That's the first book. Is this also going to be a series?
This is a series co-written with a Canadian friend of mine, Nathan Heistad. He's as prolific as I am, if not way worse, but then he doesn't have kids So,
cool. And what does Occupation kind of deal with?
Occupation is it's the Rise trilogy. We've got Occupation, Salvation just came out, and Reclamation comes out 5th of May. These are all simultaneous ebook, paperback, and audio releases. We've got Ray Porter on that, who does an absolutely brilliant job. This is, I say, it's a collaboration project, and we worked really well on this together with different characters were under our ownership. So we basically had a converging story of, we had 4 main characters to follow, and the people around them, we had 2 each, and we wrote this into even story all the way through. It's basically Nathan writes aliens, I write post-apocalyptic, so we thought, well, I'll go for it. It's not your standard alien invasion story, because this is set 25 years after the invasion, where the alien race occupies Earth. It's all about how the different groups of survivors unite to attempt to take back the planet.
And I also want to talk about New Earth Swarm. That came out this month on Kindle. That's actually book number 2.
Yeah, New Earth was New Earth Arc was the product of a very weird dream. I think I might have watched Armageddon or something, and it couldn't get out of my head. But basically, Arc is it follows the idea of surviving as the race, the human race, survive in an extinction level event of an asteroid impact. So what would happen if there was a dinosaur level event now, and ARC is the acronym for the Repurposed International Space Station, where they've basically developed, in the time it took for the asteroid to reach Earth, they developed cryostasis technology, and they have underground bunkers on Earth and the space station, and they basically intend to keep people on ice until the Earth is habitable again, which works up to a degree, and then when they come out after what was supposed to be 300 years, it's actually been over 900, and it's not exactly the place they were expecting.
All right, why don't we take a short break? We're talking to Devon C. Ford about his works, and we will be right back.
I'm Claire Grant, playing Megan Graves in the Graves, and you're listening to Sci-Fi Talk.
Back with Devon C. Ford. You're obviously very prolific, and you also work with other authors. Do you jump from project to project? And I would think you also write some of these simultaneously as well.
I do. I'm prolific. I'm also about scatterbrained as a cat when it comes to sticking with projects. The last one, New Earth, that was the recent one. It's out on pre-order. That was co-written with another friend as well. At one point, I was writing and co-writing 6 books. It's quite rare that I end up with just one project on the go, because invariably after 20, 30, 40,000 words, you end up stalling the creativity on that. So it's always, for me, I've always had more than one book on the go, so that when the ideas pool kind of runs dry, you jump onto the next project and you get your mojo back, throwing some words onto that. So yeah, I hop between. At the moment, I've only got 3 on the go, with some editing projects as well. But yeah, it's how my brain works or doesn't work. Not sure.
And you've also you're in the world of audio with Audible, and R.C. Bray has narrated some of your works. What's that like? And to kind of have your stories either read or performed?
When I first started, I didn't have Audible in mind. I hadn't listened to an audio book. You can insert a gasp in there if you like. And even worse, this was early 2016 when Podium was quite in its infancy, which is who has my after series with Bray. Cool. And I actually tried to turn him down. Spoke with a friend of mine, Michael Fuchs, who's the author of the Arisen series. At the time, we obviously didn't know each other very well, and he told me that if I did turn Bray down, I was an idiot. So I kind of took that on advice. Got another Bray in that series out in June, and honestly, I love hearing my books in audio because I'm hearing someone else's interpretation of my characters, and a lot of times it's better than how I imagine them. But yeah, I've got some fantastic narrators. I've been very lucky to get people like Ray Porter, Kate Redding, Luke Daniels, R.C. Bray, Greg Tremblay. I've got John Lee for 6 books, and to hear these people read my words, even after 4 years now, it's still quite exciting and humbling.
What's it like when these things actually become popular in their own right, too, for you?
Again, surreal. Not as surreal as things are now. And now, racked with self-doubt, even in the face of varying degrees of success. It's almost like you look at the success and you think, yeah, that can't be me. Which, is a defining factor of any real writer, is having that kind of doubt.
So it's an amazing area, and it just really, I think, exposes your works to a lot of different people, and it's awesome to hear that. Now, do you write a separate script, or do they actually read the books verbatim?
They're verbatim. There's a lot of collaboration between producer, narrator, and author as to how people should sound, if there's a preference. When I write a new series with my Bible, I keep character notes, how they sound, their mannerisms and stuff like that, and that's interpreted so beautifully in some audio that it's really. I look forward to when my audios come out to be able to enjoy a new version of the story I wrote.
The best place, I think, for people to discover you is to go to your website, devoncford.com, and this way they can read all about you, and there's even a link to your blog on there as well. So does it sound like the place to start off anyway?
Yeah, absolutely. You'll get an automatic pop-up. I know people hate them, but an automatic pop-up to sign up to the newsletter. I don't spam people, but I do send quite a lot at the moment because I only send out new releases. Yeah. So yeah, I've had quite a few releases recently. My website's in the process of being updated. Got some new blogs on there recently. Now I've had a bit more time stuck inside. With the social media people, I'm on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. My Facebook page, and there's a fan group as well. That's where you get the most interaction, and where on the fan group is where you'll see some early release information.
Fantastic. All right, so Facebook, your website, those are 2 ways. Are you on Twitter as well?
I tend not to be so active on Twitter. I don't find it as interactive. But yeah, Facebook's the main one.
Okay, that sounds great. Well, it's been a pleasure talking to you, Devon C. Ford, prolific science fiction author, and definitely catch his works. And thank you again for being on the podcast.
Thank you, Tony.
And thank you all for listening to Sci-Fi Talk. As always, this is Tony Tolato. Please, everyone, stay safe, and definitely, unfortunately, like we all have to do, stay inside. Take care.
Hi, this is Alan Ruck, and you're listening to Sci-Fi Talk, and I am an itinerant Caucasian theater worker.